President's priorities for the Army Corps of Engineers budget. At this time, probably have more members straggling in here from the vote, but we'll go to Mr. Hanna for questions that he may have.
Thank you, Chairman. And thank you both. I want to preface this by saying that I've had a very good experience with Commander Bale in Buffalo. While not productive, I regarded him as an honest player in this rather complicated process. And I'd like to talk about something that isn't directly related to the issue at hand, the budget. I'd like to raise an issue that I represent Marcy, New York, and in my district, the Corps placed special conditions and subsequently denied a Section 404 permit for Mohawk Valley Economic Development Growth Enterprises, also known as EDGE, to construct a pad for potential nanotechnology company, a multi-billion-dollar company, to come in and build a manufacturing plant on several acres of marginal wetlands. The Corps denied the permit primarily on the grounds that the applicant could not specify with precise detail what the end footprint of the plant would be. Although the applicant offered numerous times to mitigate those marginal wetlands, were a few acres, 4 or 5 acres, someplace else in the community, offered to do anything possible to get this permit for this potential nanotechnology plant in a very starved community in upstate New York, and as generally New York State is, where I live, very economically deprived and in trouble. Quite naturally, this catch-22, because without a shovel-ready pad, the applicant could not compete with foreign companies to attract a manufacturer. And without a manufacturer in hand, the applicant could not give the details for the specifications of the final plant design to the Corps of Engineers. What we seem to have, and what I am told is spreading to other districts, I've talked to other congressmen, is that the Corps is halting economic development and holding up good-paying jobs and growth and opportunity and transfer of jobs back into this country over a brand new, I emphasize new, interpretation of the Clean Water Act. You may be aware that Chairman Gibbs and this subcommittee has taken an interest case, and on April 12th requested that the Corps provide us with a complete administrative record for this project, as well as all communications between the Corps and the EPA on this matter. I trust the Corps will cooperate in this regard. The main question is the Section 404 does not require that the Corps cannot give a permit in the absence of for speculative purposes, for growth purposes, for potential customers that we know are there and want to build, does not require that they deny a permit without an end user, a defined end user. And the community I'm in was fully willing to and offered to define a maximum footprint to allow the Corps to analyze this under with regard to the few acres of what I think are widely accepted as marginal wetlands. How does the Corps of Engineers expect to be a good servant to this country and to its constituents to allow growth and opportunity? And speculation is part of what all of that requires if they're going to change their interpretation of this law to make it so very severe and difficult for a community that has spent millions, tens of millions of dollars, and 10 years of hard work and many trips abroad. How does the Corps view that? And frankly, I'm happy to hear that I'm wrong in my interpretation. Ms. Darcy?
Congressman, I'll start with this. First, the Corps of Engineers wants to work with all of our partners, both the federal and the non-federal, and certainly with the local communities to try to help support them in efforts. Under the Clean Water Act, our interpretation of the guidelines is that we've got to have a committed tenant.
But this is a new interpretation. We have been able to find examples previously with other administrations that allowed this to happen. This is a severe crime against this community. And I believe that Commander Bale would have liked to see this problem go away and offer us a permit, this community a permit, but his hands were tied, and I respect that, because of the interpretation that we can't find in the code that supports the allegation that we're speaking to.
Well, I think the guidelines provide that we review alternative sites and we look at what type of mitigation needs to occur. I think you brought up a point that you would be willing to show the maximum footprint that might be able to offset the designs, and I didn't realize that. I think the final design could in fact show that you need less of a footprint. So if we did look at a maximum footprint, I'd have to go back to see if that is something allowable for us to grant the permit under those conditions.
What we believe is that the most draconian and harsh approach was taken in this process. It has been appealed, and as I said, tens of millions of dollars from an otherwise very economically challenged community has gone into this, and we still have no resolution. We have watched plants being built in other communities around the state and around the country, the idea that there is so little latitude, or if let's say I'm completely wrong and there is no latitude in the law, I just suggest to you that that is also wrong, that the Corps of Engineers should broaden its horizons and its perspective, that if it is a very rigid set of rules and regulations that it is only allowed to follow, then following those does not further the benefit, certainly for the community I'm in, and did not.
I'd be happy to take a look at it, and we could follow up with you on whether, from a legal perspective, whether we have any ability to work outside the bounds that we have in this case. And
can I expect from you your full cooperation with our request for the administrative record?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. No further questions.
Representative Johnson.